So there was another question about how I had the courage to go to a therapist for the first time. I've covered that fairly extensively in my other video about my journey with mental health. So I'll link you to that video. The next question was sort of, if I feel like I have depression and anxiety, like where do I start? Like how do I begin to fix it? So I would say that going to a therapist is obviously the best sure shot way to feel better. But I feel like there are definitely steps that come before that. And so I'm going to talk about that because therapist onwards is a therapist's area of expertise, which I do not have the qualifications to talk about. I've talked about my experience a little bit, but I can't tell you how they will fix it for you because everyone's scenario is different. But leading up to actually going to a therapist, I just want to say that the first step I think is to admit that it's okay. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. It's okay to need help. It's okay to ask someone for help. It's okay to admit that you might have a problem that's different than everybody else's. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you flawed in your character. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that what your illness is making you feel is real. Like it's your illness. Like how I sort of separate myself now from anxiety. Like anxiety is a bully and I am the victim. Anxiety is not me. I am not anxiety. I am not the victim of anxiety. It is just an illness that I have. Same thing with depression. Depression is just an illness that I have. Like, you know, I have stretch marks. I have depression. I have a rounded back. I have anxiety. I can do things to fix my posture. I can do things to, whatever, cover up the stretch marks or to learn to live with it. And so I do. And I treat them the same way. It's just something that you have. It's not the definition of who you are. I am not a hunchback person. I am not the girl with stretch marks. It's just a feature of who I am. And so it's okay to want to work on that. It's okay to sort of manage it and own it and not be ashamed of it. Like I feel like so many people are so ashamed of stretch marks. Like it's okay, man, everyone has stretch marks. Everyone has a bad day. Some people have depression, which is more than a bad day. It's okay. Wear shorts. Reveal your stretch marks. Talk about your depression. Talk about your illness. Talk about how you got over it, and then we can make it less of an ugly thing. So I think that's the first step, honestly, is to admit that it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. There is help. It does get better. That's the other thing. Like whatever work you put into it, whatever work you put into your therapy, into your exercises, into whatever it is the doctor asks you to do, is worth it because it does feel better. Like I remember telling my doctor just the last time I went to him that I'm able to see and appreciate and feel things that I haven't felt in what I consider my life because I've had depression for so long. And so I'm able to appreciate tiny things, and I'm able to see how far I've come from where I used to be. And so I promise you, I plead with you, it gets better. And it's okay to admit that you need help. I was also asked, does depression relapse or does anxiety get worse with age? I talked to my doctor about this, and yes, it can relapse. Depression and anxiety can relapse, but to sort of add to that, when you go through therapy, you learn certain tools and techniques that can help you get out of those feelings faster and help you manage the duration and the intensity of those feelings. You sort of are able to recover more quickly, like how athletes go through, a strength training that is not entirely focused on their specific field. Like, runners and swimmers still do weights, weightlifters might still do cardio and stretches and yoga. So you develop this set of tools and techniques that can help you get out of that feeling a lot faster. If not, you can always go back to your doctor. There's no harm in relapsing. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. You've come out of it once, you can come out of it again. In terms of it getting worse with age, in my experience over maybe the 10 years, depression did get worse, but that's only because it was untreated. My anxiety didn't get worse, it was sort of the same. It got a little bit worse towards the end, just before I started seeing my doctor. But that's only because it was untreated. I think having started my treatment and my therapy, I have gotten a lot more comfortable with getting out of those moods and getting out of those situations. So if it does come back and if it does relapse and if it does feel like it's coming on again, I'm able to get myself out of it. So not always, but more often than I used to be able to. So that's always a good sign. There were several questions also about medication. Do I take medication? what are the side effects, are there dependencies involved, etc., etc. I have done a podcast actually with my doctor where we talk about all of this stuff. Yes, I do take medication. I've taken antidepressants, and I've also in the past taken medication to handle anxiety. I have worked my way off the anxiety medication, and I'm in the process of lowering my dosage of antidepressants as well, and the goal is to function without those medications. But there's a lot more information from my doctor firsthand in the video that I'm going to link in the description below. So one person did ask me, they said that they feel like they have a lot of potential, but they have a lot of self-doubt as well. Now, I know I've been talking primarily about anxiety and depression, and in my case specifically, it's in the context of borderline personality disorder, which I have. So, someone else's experience of anxiety and depression might be different than mine. And I just want to put it out there that you don't have to be suicidal or constantly anxious to go to a doctor. If you feel like there's any sort of thought pattern that keeps recurring in your life that you don't know how to get out of, or you have recognized but you're not able to resolve, you can go to a therapist. Therapists are really good at, figuring out or getting you to figure out what exactly is causing this recurring issue, or what exactly is stopping you from preventing it the next time, things like that. So it's like, going for a physiotherapy session, even if you don't have a broken bone. I know I have to keep throwing in these physical ailment metaphors because I feel like a lot of people are unable to think about mental health the same way that they think about physical health. But yeah, if you have a knee injury that keeps recurring, like, you go to a physiotherapist, right? I mean, you should. So it's the same thing with this. It doesn't have to be like a fracture, it doesn't have to be internal bleeding for you to like go to a doctor. You can go to a therapist and feel better no matter where you are. I think all of us could use a little bit of therapy. Honestly, we should start putting in like the school curriculum. Honestly, like math, science, arts, commerce, therapy. Like everyone should do it. It's incredible. It just like opens your eyes and your mind and your life to possibilities about yourself, potential that you've never thought you could have. It's changed my life, guys.